Hello, everyone, and welcome to Auvik's Grow Your MSP Revenue with Asset Lifecycle Management webinar with our friends at Warranty Master. We're about to get started. Before we do, just some quick housekeeping notes here. The webinar recording will be available in a few hours at auvik.com/frankly-MSP, alongside other blog posts and podcasts that are aimed at helping MSPs like yourselves grow your business. So to ask a question, feel free to use the Q&A chat panel. I have my amazing colleague Sam True here with us, who's going to be helping moderate some of these questions throughout that presentation. So let's try and make this an interactive session here today. So today we're going to be chatting with a few folks from Warranty Master. We're going to be chatting with Mike Byrne, VP of Channels, as well as Adrian Macartney, a product manager at Warranty Master. And we'll be getting their take on how MSPs can position Asset Lifecycle Management, or ALM, as a risk mitigating service. So we're going to be hearing about the current challenges around ALM, the ability to master it, including options for overcoming challenges, the most common pitfalls that MSPs make while managing network gear, and finally, how to build ALM into your SLAs and account management processes. So I'm your host, Ray Patel. Quick background on me, began my career in the telecom sector, where I helped in and gained some insight managing some of Canada's largest networks before transitioning over to network engineering and management at Auvik. So I've been here for about 4 years now, where I leveraged that background to help further develop and enhance the award-winning network management software that we produce for IT managed services providers like yourselves. And I am joined by our friends at Warranty Master, who will be driving the meat of this presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to hand the controls over to Warranty Master's VP of Channels, Mike Byrne. Mike?
My name is Mike Byrne, and I'm the VP of Channel here at Warranty Master. My role here at Warranty Master is pretty straightforward. I work with our partners to help them develop the messaging and the methodology to overcome the challenges that they're facing with lifecycle management. I strongly believe the best way to support our partners is by having these types of strategic industry-based conversations that help our partners overcome the challenges they're facing and generate more revenue around lifecycle management. I'm also joined on today's presentation by Adrian Macartney. Adrian, a little introduction from your perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Hello, everyone. Adrian Macartney here. So I'm the new product manager at Warranty Master. Extremely excited to be working with such a talented team. We have an absolutely bonkers roadmap plan for this year. It's going to be incredible. Bring in a wealth of experience from my previous roles at SaaS companies. And I'll actually be doing the live demo today as well. So you'll be hearing from me a little bit later in today's presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. Adrian, if we would like to dive in at this point, the agenda is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to walk everyone through a little bit of our story, why Warranty Master exists. And then I'm going to deal with some of the challenges of facing the channel when it comes to the landscape of dealing with lifecycle management. But more importantly, like Ray mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that we give everyone some solid takeaways that they can go back, incorporate into their approach to dealing with lifecycle management. And at the end of the presentation, from our perspective, we sincerely hope that everyone's takeaway is there's a much simpler and easy way to manage your clients' life cycles. Once I'm done my portion, I'm going to kick it back over to Adrian, who's going to walk everyone through the live demo, and then we'll ease into the Q&A. So that's basically the flow, and we'll start getting going at this point now. Our story started back in 2015, and from that point till now, when we launched Warranty Master, we've been able to generate some interest in our product, and we have over 4,500 MSPs using Warranty Master. But the important stat here is there's 30,000 plus IT professionals logging in to Warranty Master daily from 30 plus countries. So one of the key takeaways that I want everyone to understand on the call is Warranty Master was created based on an extremely strong brand and a heavy focus on serious engineering. And what that essentially means is we're a sales light organization where we truly do believe Warranty Master, the product itself, stands on its own 2 feet. And along that path to sort of get into where we're going, the vast majority of Warranty Master's headcount and staff are in either engineering and R&D. How we support that ecosystem of partners is we have 3 offices. We have one in Vancouver, British Columbia. We have another one, our development office in Montreal, Quebec, and we're very pleased to announce our recent opening of our London office. So with those 3 offices, we have you covered. Thank you very much, Adrian. There we go. Sorry. The challenges. What we're looking at on today's presentation is I don't want to spend all the presentation sort of dealing with the challenges. I want to be able to weave in those solutions to help our partners and you guys on the call overcome them. So there are some serious challenges when it comes to other aspects of dealing with your service industry, but when it comes to lifecycle management, it's really pretty straightforward. We're going to be dealing with the aging equipment, some of the cause and effects, how to present the entire presentation and the sort of the backdrop to your clients to get them to take action, and then when and how to roll it out. The first step of this process is clearly one of the challenges with the aging equipment. So from our perspective, we've often wondered, what's the cost of a slow server? How much does that really impact your customers? Well, after some initial analysis, a slow server works out to 5.5 days per year per employee wasted. Another way to look at that issue is it works out to around 13 minutes a day, or 3% of an employee's time is completely wasted. And when you sort of factor that in, it works out to $5,676 a year. So the challenge is, if the server's slow, and if that's the case, replace it immediately, right? Because there are other companies that deal with data protection and continuity. However, from our perspective and from the data we've been able to gather from talking to a lot of our partners, when you're looking at a failed server or a server that's getting older, you still have to have a policy on the equipment itself, right? So that's the key takeaway when you're looking at a failed server and a slow server. So when we're moving forward, from an observed failure perspective, it's no secret server hardware suffers from old age, just like we do. So when they're initially deployed, they tend to have their minor ups and downs when they're first getting burnt in, but they typically run fairly smoothly until they start getting into their golden years. Then, as they start to age, the moving parts go. They start to wear out. And then after years of running hot, it takes its toll on the electronics. And before you know it, you're spending more and more time dealing with that device. This is often referred to as the bathtub curve, which I thought was rather interesting. When you're looking at the cause, it's pretty straightforward. Hardware, it starts to break down when it gets old. So rather than hips and knees going, like in our case, for servers, it's the moving parts, as I mentioned, the fans, the hard drives. Those are typically the first to go. Age also affects non-moving equipment like memory and other fixed board components. The key, it's pretty straightforward. Just because your clients aren't necessarily complaining about one of their devices and or servers today doesn't mean there isn't a catastrophic event right around the next corner. The easiest way to avoid these challenges is by embracing lifecycle management. And from our perspective, we want to take that message one step further with the next slide to really highlight where the challenge is, because it's a massive issue. And quite frankly, it's kind of ridiculous. However, 64% of production servers are currently out of warranty. And that's what's happening in the real world. And from our perspective, this number is based on accurate number on big data, over 15 million devices. Why is this happening? That's the real challenge, right? So we know this. We know it's an issue because the entire process sometimes may be filled with a lot of manual deliverables, right? Device information is spread across multiple applications and or not stored at all. Plus, coupled with there's no easy real-time process for updating said renewal information, and hence that backs into and dovetails into no easy way to report on it. So everyone's left with multiple renewal dates, zero renewal standardization. And the other component, it never seems like it's an issue for your clients, right? And when you're talking about how you're getting that information to your clients, we asked a lot of our partners before as we were developing the content for the presentation, we went through a series of channel talks where we interviewed a lot of our partners on how they're dealing with lifecycle management. And more importantly, how are they bringing that to the forefront of their client conversations? And the interesting feedback was pretty straightforward. They're using 3 components or 3 tools to deliver that information. They're using their PSAs and their RMMs, and they're using Excel. Excuse me. From a PSA and an RMM perspective, it's not bad. You'll get a list, right? You'll get some basic reports, but not so much when it comes to actionable visualizations on lifecycle management. Excel, okay. It's not bad. However, working from a list instead of dynamic data makes it really difficult when then trying to communicate that issue back to your client. And it's near next impossible to get them to take action. Like, what's the next step? They're looking for pie charts. They're looking for graphs. They're looking for tables with summary information. They're looking for next steps. It's what they're used to. Plus, if you have to do all of this manually, it's extremely time consuming, and more often than not, because it's manual and because it's time consuming, it simply doesn't get done. The other key component here, if you want to advance the slide, Adrian, the other key component is, at the end of the day, which one of those 2 processes, sorry, could you go back one slide, Adrian? At the end of the day, this is what's generated from Warranty Master. So at the end of the day, which one of these types of presentation tools do you think your clients would have a better time understanding the severity of their lifecycle management? So thank you. So from the next perspective, we want to start looking at the evolution of how an MSP starts on their journey to sort of master lifecycle management and all the steps along the way. So through those channel discussions, the net result is there's 3 main pillars of how an MSP progresses to the innovation stage, right? In the beginning, simply put, because asset lifecycle management is not part of their overall support methodology, it's not part of their onboarding workflow. It typically has, no teeth in their T's and C's, so there's no verbiage in your contracts. The other challenge is they don't have automation around the real-time tracking and reporting. So no one owns the responsibility. Everyone has to do it, but it's a challenge. Emerging, as the slide says, you're doing it. You've started to get that muscle memory going, but you're not doing it regularly, right? You're generating some revenue for customers that sort of see the light. Your margins are improving with those, but for the other customers that don't, they're at risk, you're at risk, and your SLAs are at risk. And the key component to sort of focus in on is, based on the fact that lifecycle management is rapidly becoming a sort of a talk track in the industry, if you're not having that conversation, for a fact someone else may be having that conversation with your clients. When you start innovating, that's when the magic starts happening, because that's when you're incorporating lifecycle management and you're integrating it into your entire support methodology. It's part of your new it's part of your new client onboarding process. It's part of your workflows. It's built into how your sales and account management are dealing with the QBRs. It's full integration into your RMM, your PSAs, your entire technical stack. When you're innovating, that's when you're working with each of your clients to ensure they have a clearly defined lifecycle management plan that meets their needs, as well as aligned to your internal support standards, which is extremely important. When it comes to rolling this out, what everyone's looking at right now is these are the types of reports that are generated within minutes of connecting Warranty Master. Soon as Warranty Master is set up, these are the types of reports that you're generating, and you're procuring warranties in minutes. So some of the partners we talked to, they were looking at, well, it's not a challenge. We just need some help getting to that point. And when they sort of looked at the presentation of how the reports are sort of constructed, the messaging, it makes it really, really straightforward. So in the real world, if your customers aren't receiving those, that's what we can help you with. In terms of dealing with aging equipment, we totally get it, right? Everyone would rather replace everything when it needs to be replaced. And it would also be awesome, I might add, if every client agreed with that approach. However, it's not often the case. And as we discussed earlier, with 64% of production servers being currently out of warranty, it's simply not happening. Here's the thing. I spend a lot of time talking to a lot of our partners. And at the end of the day, those that have adopted lifecycle management are finding themselves in the real world in a hybrid scenario. And how that hybrid scenario plays out is they're replacing the gear that simply has to be replaced. Stuff that's come to the end of its service life, it may be out of life or maybe end of life with the manufacturer. Stuff that's logical, you just replace them. Renewing, though, you do that, and that's the flow for everything else. Because from a renewal standpoint, it buys you time, and it's a phenomenal strategy. Rather than approaching a customer with an invoice for a new server, if the server's still performing well and it's still working and it's still eligible for renewal, and it may or may not be too expensive to cover otherwise, that renewal, extending it, buys you time with the customer. It also allows your customer to sort of budget and prepare for that next project for the new server or the new device. So, when you're looking at the two factors of the real world, the stuff that has to be replaced, you simply replace it. And you have that conversation. One key point I mentioned earlier, the sooner you have those conversations, the easier those conversations are when you actually have to have them. So that's the flow in the hybrid in the real world. When it comes to onboarding, right, the other key takeaway from all of my conversations with our partners is those that are innovating, right, they're innovating lifecycle management, and they're always weaving it into how they deal with their customers. It's the foundational component to their sales processes, right? And if you look at it from a baseline network assessment, when you do the assessment, you're going to come up with some issues that need to be addressed. It's perfect time, right? So those partners, they're incorporating lifecycle management directly into their network assessments with new clients. And like I mentioned, with the new clients, it's a much easier conversation to have because a prospect, in most cases, is already expecting to hear about all the issues, the bird's nest, so on and so forth. So it just makes it really straightforward. So the takeaway is it's all about the right messaging. It's something that has to be incorporated into how you guys deal with your customers' basic services, right? Because it's the foundational component to all of the things that you'll do afterwards. We've sort of taken a look at a couple of different approaches to how MSPs could do this. And when you're looking at the onboarding, it's a perfect time because what starts right always inevitably ends right. So there is no bad time to have that conversation. But for your next new customer, if you've never had the conversation or you've never brought it up or you don't have the muscle memory built around having those conversations with a brand new client, it makes it so much easier, right? And to that point, we've sort of come up with some areas where we can help you guys along the path. A lot of our partners are asking for messaging, right? So what we've done is to help our partners with lifecycle management messaging, we've created our first ever action pack. We've got data sheets, marketing slicks. We have all the stuff that you guys need to sort of incorporate into those workflows. We have sample T's and C's clauses. We have sample email teasers you can send out. We have all the messaging that will help you guys develop that muscle memory in your sales pitches, develop those workflows, some of the conversational little tidbits that you can then repurpose into your own market messaging on your websites, your blogs, your newsletters. The challenge at first was we wanted to make sure that we made something that allowed our partners to sort of dive in at a base level, sort of from an understanding standpoint, and then roll it back and then build it in. So everything's rebrandable and repurposable. One of the other key areas we were dealing with when we were looking at this is we wanted to make sure that the messaging was in such a manner that it allowed the MSPs to sort of take it and then repurpose it in other facets of how they go to market. So the action pack, we'll be giving everyone a link at the end where you guys can download your own, and hopefully that will be one of the takeaways. Well, there's multiple actually, but in essence, those will help you guys sort of overcome some of the challenges that you're dealing with. And that's our, hope from our perspective to you guys. I'm not going to read all the quotes. Suffice to say that lifecycle management is a common issue up and down the industry. So whether you're in the SMB, the mid or large enterprise, there are some pretty compelling reasons, financial reasons I'll add, why you need to be addressing lifecycle management. This was interesting because the biggest challenge from my perspective when I was looking at this slide is we only could pick two, right? So we chose two out of literally hundreds of similar quotes from some of our biggest partners. So, we have them all here. They're on our website, and we're more than happy to share them all with you guys. As we advance through here, I think it's time that I pass the presentation over to Adrian. Adrian, hopefully you'll have a great demo, and I'm looking forward to hearing everything you have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. So yeah, jumping right into it, definitely here, Warranty Master and Auvik is perfect together. All of the automation that we're going to be bringing to the table here is really going to make your life super, super easy. So what we're going to be looking at here today is how we're going to be fetching those network devices from Auvik. Warranty Master is then going to perform automatic lookups based on those device serial numbers, and then we're going to leverage all of that data to deliver game-changing reports. So this is something that we do over and over and over again automatically, so you don't have to worry about it. You're just going to be able to fire up that integration that first time, sit back, and let those reports get generated. So in the live demo here, we're going to touch on onboarding, the integrations itself, the overall app, the different reports that can be built, and some of the customizations that can be done, and just a little touch on instant renewals that you can do directly in the application. All right. So jumping right over here, beginning the demonstration here, we are at the integration screen. So as you can see here, we're going to jump down. There's lots of different integrations available. We're going to go and actually do a live integration to Auvik. So I'm just going to go and delete some of that autofill information there. Drop in that. I'm going to go and put my username in. So Auvik at warrantymaster.com. There are some basic instructions as well to help you out with this, but very straightforward from an integration standpoint, and we should be good to go. So what we're seeing here is an actual live sync of Auvik that's happening right in front of us. You can see the devices start to get processed instantly. We've done some extreme engineering on our side to be able to provide this lookup this quick. So we're already well through about 400 devices here. If we were to jump over to the dashboard, we can start to see the revenue opportunities here, the sales opportunities are building up, the number of assets that are coming across. You're going to be able to instantly go and dive into any of these to get some very specific information about things that are overdue, maybe some devices that are have their life ending soon, or depending on the types of devices you have for unsupported operating systems. So big thing being here is it is literally a turnkey solution. There's zero onboarding required. There's no training required for your team. Our app is shockingly intelligent and easy to use. It's going to provide immense and immediate value to your entire company. And you can go and add everybody on your team at no additional cost. So our fair billing policy is all based around devices, not users. So you can get everybody, whether they're on the admin side or somebody in accounting that just wants access to this information, brought directly into the platform. So the dashboard here, I can very quickly go in and click on just the items here that have an opportunity with them. You're going to have control as well if you want to go in and filter based on different types of devices, different types of statuses, whether renewals are available for them. So you can generate a really nice custom report, and you can download that as a spreadsheet as well if you would like to work outside of Warranty Master. It's not something that you would be doing very often, but it's nice to know you have that option if you would like. So jumping back up to the dashboard here, regardless of what you might be clicking into, maybe you only want to look at those network devices that have come across. So once again, you're going to be able to see all this information. But big thing being here is that this isn't something you're going to want to go and directly present to a client of yours. That's something that you're going to want to go and generate a report for, which I'll be showing to you in just a quick moment. So coming over here to the Organizations tab, this is going to give you a list based on the biggest opportunity at the top and going all the way down. So very easy for you to get a quick idea for the overall status of those assets within each of your clients, and you can start to drill down and focus on the ones that are going to be bringing you the most opportunity, but really helping out your client that has the highest number of issues that need to be worked on. So just as with any of the screens here, you can type and filter to your heart's content to find what you need. But for the most part, the information is going to be brought right to the top for you. So in terms of going and getting an individual report for one of your customers, I can just click the download button there. It's going to go and live generate that report for me. That was done in production. This is not a pre-generated report. In just a flip of a second there, we now have for Gaston Systems here, a full customer report that's going to go and show me from a pie chart perspective here, the number of servers, network devices, imaging devices, and then it goes all the way into all the detail about when each of those devices expire. So keeping in mind, these are all warranty lookups that went straight to the manufacturer to get the accurate warranty date, and then we keep those up to date. At the very bottom here, we do have a sample evergreen replacement budget. So as always, we're recommending that you have proactive conversations with your customers to be able to forecast what it's going to look like throughout the year. So you can provide them with this as an example based on the values that you've entered. So maybe servers might be 5,000 for some of your clients, or network devices are a bit more or less. You have complete customization and control over that. But you do have a nice forecast there and a nice report that's just generated in seconds. All right, so one of the other reports that's going to be available, you can jump over into the report section here, is the executive summaries. This is going to be something that you're going to be able to utilize internally at your MSP to get that bird's eye view of what's happening across all of your clients. So the idea being here is that it's an insanely powerful report for your internal team to use to break down and take a look at, you know, the overall asset lifecycle management for all of your clients. So you can see here, once again, this is generated live, all of the servers, workstations, even your virtual machines too, because they do have an estimated cost associated to them and value to your clients. Network devices, of course, are there. We have almost $400,000 in opportunity. And then it's going to go down and break down that list here based on the largest opportunity at the top. So it's just the same as you might be in the app generating some of this information. If you do need to share this with somebody else on your team, it's going to be very easy to go and generate their report and then go and share it maybe in a meeting or just in an email to make sure that the rest of your company is aware of all of these challenges that can be overcome and all of this revenue that is essentially just sitting on the table ready for you to go and dive in and take. All right. So in terms of some of the nifty things that the platform can do as well, we do have an issue center here that's going to bring attention to some of the things that might not be working so great with some of those integrations that you have. You might have a PSA, an RMM, Auvik, all sorts of stuff going on at the same time. Things like duplicate devices can be quite common. So we're going to help you identify that so you can go and rectify that in a third-party platform. And that might even reduce some of your costs with some of those other platforms, which makes Warranty Master even more than paid for itself. All right, so lots of different issues and intelligence that are going to be provided to you in this issues center here. In terms of customization, one of the most requested features that we had received last year had to do with the ability to extend the actual dates that are used for different types of devices. So you may not always want a workstation to just be based on its actual warranty service. You might want to extend that a bit because it's a basic workstation that doesn't necessarily have to be covered by, you know, an expensive service renewal of some sort. So you might extend that here. This is called age-based reporting. So you can go and extend that by 5 years or however many years you might want. And that way, in terms of your reporting and what's coming up and what you're going to be talking to your clients about, if something is out of warranty, but it's still within its, you know, life expectancy, it's not something that you're going to worry about at that time. So that's in your complete control, along with the estimated value of what some of these particular device types is going to cost. So one of the other great things here is that if we jump back into Auvik, this integration is now completely live. You are able to go and map all the different device types that you want to sync to whichever type of Warranty Master asset. So if something didn't quite come across perfectly at first, you can remap it, no problem. And for any of the additional types that you might have created, you have complete control over how that mapping is going to work and what's going to get brought over into our application. All right, so jumping back up to the dashboard here, pretty much any screen you're on, if you do have some renewals that can get processed directly in the app, at the top right of the screen, you're going to see that shopping cart there. So we have instant renewal. So the idea being here is that we want to remove all of that heavy lifting. The typical sales quoting process does involve quite a few hours of manual steps. That's a lot of wasted time. The idea being here is that we really want your team to be able to automate the flow of the renewal process. So what we're doing here is we're providing you the ability to go and renew service warranties directly within our application. So for any of the companies that have devices that can be renewed, it's as easy as going right into the shopping cart here. You're going to be able to see the options that are available, and you can actually go and generate a PDF right on the spot as a proposal that you would be able to then go and share with your client to give them an estimate for how much that service renewal is going to cost. So once again, just really trying to make it as easy as possible for you to go and share this information and do the actual warranty lookup and renewal directly within Warranty Master. So I'm just going to get out of full screen there for a minute so I can close that. Perfect. Awesome. So yes, that's all going to happen directly inside of Warranty Master. So, in terms of, how you want to go and position this, the big thing being is that you're going to be able to do this in an automated fashion where you're not manually going and doing individual lookups and this whole process one by one. It can be automated within our platform as well. So that's a bit of a taste for what's offered within the Warranty Master app. Of course, lots of stuff that we haven't covered, but that gives you an idea for what we're doing. Back over to you, Mike.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone. Adrian, that was awesome. Thank you very much for going through the presentation of the demo. A lot of hopefully interesting questions on the way. At this phase, I'd like to sort of advance through and sort of talk about the takeaways. So some of the messaging that we've been dealing with, hopefully it resonates with everyone on the webinar, because there are easier ways of dealing with your customers' lifecycle needs, right? And from Warranty Master's perspective, one of the takeaways we wanted to make sure everyone got out of today's webcast was our action pack. So as you can see right here, if you visit that link directly, you can download the action pack, fill out the form, add in the data you want, and it's yours. So hopefully this will help you guys overcome some of the challenges that you're dealing with lifecycle management, as well as, more importantly, generate the revenue that needs to be generated for that service you're delivering. And at this point, I'll hand it back over to Ray. Ray?
Thanks, Mike. And just to build on what Mike said here as well, there is a huge opportunity here that MSPs can take advantage of to help build a sales pipeline for cross and upselling our partners as some of these assets actually get phased out and replaced over time. So we'd like to extend the opportunity to show you guys why Auvik is one of the most efficient and profitable ways to manage network infrastructure as well. So if you were to book a demo over at www.auvik.com/warranty master, we'll be able to send you a $5 Starbucks gift card, and you'll learn something new over a cup of Joe. Cool.
Very cool. Thank you, Ray. I did have a question for you, Ray, specifically before we dive into the questions, and it sort of came to me last night when I was thinking about the presentation.
Sure.
I know from our perspective, tracking asset inventory, and we know the methodologies wrapped around that. But in addition to accurately tracking the asset inventory, is it important to also be tracking the amount of usage, given the usage a given asset may have, to explore opportunities of consolidation, or maybe grade of the asset that aligns more to the usage metrics? How do MSPs measure this today? And are there any rules of thumb that should be employed, whether an asset can be consolidated, upgraded, downgraded, or even phased out from deployment altogether?
Great question, Mike. And I think what we typically see from our partners is they try to heavily leverage their RMM platform to do that. So, with Auvik as an example, which is network-centric RMM, we typically see them, our MSPs, actually leverage a lot of the historical data against key KPIs. So on devices like routers or switches or firewalls, we tend to look at things like bandwidth utilization, the number of configuration changes that have actually occurred. When it comes to usage of something like a network switch, say it's one that provides access for endpoints like laptops or desktops, well, are those ports being actively plugged or unplugged over the course of a day as users might come in and dock in at their desk? We typically see a huge opportunity for consolidation when you have a large number of switches with a small number of ports, say an 8 or 16 port variant, and MSPs find it advantageous for multiple reasons to move towards a set of switches that have larger capacity, or moving towards a stacked arrangement for easier management. So we try to recommend that MSPs take a multi-pronged approach to actually leveraging that data to help drive a decision towards something could be consolidated, potentially replaced if it is a little bit out of date, or simply phased out from deployment due to lack of use altogether.
That makes sense. One last question. I don't mean to hog the Q&A. I apologize, but it's a relevant question. Network devices are, and in some cases, unfortunately, neglected in from a replacement and a warranty perspective.
Yep.
So what are some of the operational risks that are taken on if the device is out of warranty, specifically in that area?
Yeah, so I'd say it's maybe kind of a two-part response here. The first is, I guess, from an operational risk perspective, we really see network devices as part of, a company's IT central nervous system. So think of it as effectively the spinal cord of your ongoing IT operations. So any disruptions that happen to the network, say a specific switch goes down or your firewall goes down altogether, based on that type of disruption, we can be causing partial or total paralysis to the company's productivity. And it's kind of up to us to, as MSPs, to be asking these types of hard questions to customers, both upfront as well as on an ongoing basis, to figure out, well, are we doing the appropriate level of investment in the network in these critical components, and are we doing it in proportion to the amount of risk that we do want to mitigate on a day-to-day? And the second piece around that is more so on the security side. We tend to find that, obviously, as devices get older, they A, go out of warranty, but B, they also potentially become ineligible for software updates and technical support from the vendor themselves. So this obviously affects an MSP's ability to be able to proactively as well as reactively both upgrade firmware and plug security vulnerabilities. And one kind of anecdote I'd like to share on both of these points is a recent MSP that we partnered with. They deployed Auvik, got it up and running, and as part of the initial network discovery, we jointly found a 15-year-old layer 2 switch that was tucked away above a ceiling tile through that automated network discovery. So previously, their technicians had no idea this was actually out there. Going through the analysis of, all right, well, what type of code is it running, and cross-referencing that with some vendor documentation, we found that there were a number of unpatched vulnerabilities. And needless to say, it was obviously well out of warranty. But the kicker around this was that piece of equipment was actually a fundamental part of the trunk link between one floor of the office building for their client to another. So, if that switch goes down, pretty much an entire floor would be taken offline. So needless to say, something as fundamental as that, it obviously needs to be kept up to date and should be in warranty for multiple reasons.
Very interesting. Very cool. Now it looks like we're getting some questions in from the audience. Looking through these. Sam, do you see? Hold on, let me see. Oh, there's one here. And it's an attendee, I think, coming from Europe. And they're asking, can we change from a $ to a euro sign within Warranty Master?
Yeah, something I could probably address as well, just quickly. So yeah, in the settings here, you do have the ability to change between quite a variety of different currencies here. So that's something that you can definitely go and modify, and then that's going to show up everywhere else throughout the app.
Very cool. Now, Adrian, I have another question. It says, we mainly use Auvik for network devices, server, router, firewall. Should we expect the same information for those as well?
Yeah, most definitely. So, I mean, it does depend on the types of devices that you're using. We keep expanding further and further to different types of device types, different lookups to pull in information. So, we do have quite a variety of integrations that will pull information in. And then on the back end, we have warranty lookups to a lot of different systems. So what I would say is if you're at all curious, you can get fired up with the free edition right now, get those integrations in there and have a look for yourself.
Very cool. Now I'm looking at a question right here. It says, do we see different attitudes from clients towards IT lifecycle management in particular industries or verticals? From the conversations that I've been having, I think the overarching theme is it's all around business dependencies on devices, like what's driving the critical business services. And another component to that is you have to have a set of standards on how you support your customers, your support methodology. So once you've mapped those support standards out, what you'll accept in terms of age, what you'll accept in terms of risk, you have to align that. You have to then align those to how your customers are leveraging their network to drive their businesses forward, right? So to answer the question specifically, do I see different attitudes towards industries or verticals? Based on the conversations I've had with partners, I would say it's more of a case-by-case dependency on those devices internally. And I was talking to one MSP who gave me a pretty decent example, which made a lot of sense. He said, if you're looking at two different customers, both the same size, right? Not necessarily who's generating more revenue, but like a trucking company and a legal firm. In the architectural firm. So the one company, the trucking company, they have a lot of critical devices. So they address those how they should. But when you're looking at desktops in that environment, that company could go a little longer with a failed device, with a failed desktop. But when you're looking at an architectural firm, they're running AutoCAD. Those PCs, A, are much beefier and more robust, and B, they're critical to that company's ability to generate revenue. So I guess it's kind of a yes, no. I guess there are different industries and verticals that are, rely more heavily on specific devices. But I think the answer to the question is you have to develop that methodology from your perspective, right? In terms of making sure that those customers are completely covered on the devices that are critical to themselves. So yeah, I guess there is a bit of a difference. What other questions? Question for Warranty Master. Will you be adding Extreme Networks product line soon? Adrian, I'm not sure. I'll throw that one over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, we really don't want to talk too much about the future roadmap. We know that we want to deliver on all sorts of different fronts, of course, integrations and warranty lookups and in-app features and automation. So what I would say is just, you can definitely send us a note on that. If you go over to warrantymaster.com/contact, fire that my way, and we'll definitely look into it for you.
Now, before you grab a coffee, I have another one for you. Do you recommend PSA integrations or RMM integrations or both for Warranty Master?
Well, what I would say is that, I mean, we really do all of the heavy lifting, all the extreme engineering. So I would just get everything integrated. If we offer an integration for it, fire it up. If we don't, let us know, and we can work on getting that brought into the platform for you. So we're going to pull together all the details from everything and give you the best looking information that has the right name for a device, the right expirations. If you've manually overridden a warranty inside of a PSA tool, for an example, we'll trust that you're the expert and we'll put that date into your report. So it really is best to get everything integrated at the same time.
Makes perfect sense. Again, put the coffee down. With the Auvik and Warranty Master integration, right? If a new device, a firewall, is discovered in Auvik, will Warranty Master automatically detect that new device and start reporting on its warranty dates?
Yeah, so that information will flow in automatically. So we're going to be always going and looking for them. It's not going to be just continuously hammering their API, but done in a way that will pull it over quite quickly. But of course, if you wanted to, you can always click and start a manual sync from within Warranty Master. Very
cool. Similar, but not the same. Coming from one of the attendees, we sync ConnectWise manage configuration using Auvik. Will the Warranty Master integration with Auvik update expiry dates in the ConnectWise configuration? ConnectWise manage configuration?
Yeah, definitely. So we do write back. So there's a two-way sync offered on lots of different platforms. So we would actually be able to go and look up the warranties, pull all the information in, and then write back the current warranty expiration for configuration in ConnectWise Manage.
Very cool. I think this is the last one for you, Adrian. I know it's futures, and I know what your response may be. Any plans for being able to check warranty status for network devices such as Cisco and SonicWall, etc.?
Yeah, so we actually do already offer some lookups in that regard. So what I would say once again is just jump in. If you're not already a partner, go on the free edition, go to our integrations page and get those fired up and see what comes across. And we're always busy on working on new partnerships and pulling more information from different sources just to help automate the process for you.
Very cool. This is an interesting question, and I think this one's for me. When a device fails and it's not covered, when it's not covered by a warranty, how do you see other partners typically addressing this? Good question. And I ask this question specifically in almost every one of my channel talks because I know it's a real world reality that it does happen. There are devices that fail that are out of warranty, clearly based on the 64%. And the net result of those conversations is it's kind of in two aspects. It depends on the type of SLA that you have in place with that customer. And what I mean by that is like, do you have a fixed fee, all included type of SLA where everything's covered? Or are you kind of time and materials above and beyond a certain level of support? But in both cases, not necessarily in the one where above and beyond, but in the fully managed where the MSP's positioned the service offering to a customer where, it's one throat to choke, one bill per month, and everything's covered. They will charge for the replacement parts, but they won't charge for the support, the actual labor to, replace the part and do the work, which was pretty, I would say, across the board. 100% of the people were, I think there was only one conversation out of over 30 where that wasn't the case. So I think the trend seems to be, yes, you'll support the device. You won't charge for the labor because that's part of the all-in aspect of how you position the service initially, but you will charge for the replacement parts. The second follow-up question I always had with those partners when we were having these discussions is, are you at that point jumping in with the lifecycle management conversation if you haven't previously? And the answer was 100% yes. Let me see if there's any more questions. I think there's another question down here. Okay, so this one is for either Ray or Adrian. We use Autotask PSA and AEM. What will Auvik add on value to Autotask? Does it give us added value extra on the AT features and information to help our support desk engineers?
I'll take that one, Mike.
Sure.
So I think what the kind of the add-on value that Auvik would provide is the ability to go really deep on some specific network metrics without any configuration or sensors to actually set up. So things like switch stack failures, spanning tree loops. These are the types of things that out of the box, once you've deployed that collector and fed in a few credentials to get the data, we can deliver those insights in simply a matter of minutes. So either from a kind of a prospecting use case or an assessment use case, all the way through to ongoing monitoring, we have a lot of success stories where we've been able to complement other solutions where we'll be able to come in and actually provide that type of deep insight in a matter of minutes without very much configuration whatsoever.
Cool. And I think this question's for me. What assets are you seeing get the most priority from a lifecycle management perspective? I think this ties back into what I was speaking to earlier. It's more of the critical, it's based on the device and each client. So you have to customize how you approach these devices and these service contracts based on A, customer need, and B, your internal support methodology. And I think that wraps up most of the questions that I see. Ray, do you see any? I don't see any. Sam, Adrian. I think that sort of wraps everything up.
Awesome.
Oh, there's another one. Just when we were going. Can I control how often Auvik performs discovery tasks? Can we turn the auto discovery off after its first run and then run it manually when we want to. Our customers have very sensitive equipment.
So typically our auto discovery does work in the background to provide ongoing scanning of subnets for looking for new devices or updates to existing devices. There are a couple strategies that we could employ in a scenario where we'd want to kind of freeze the state of the network and then have it kind of resume scanning and pick up some new data and look for new devices. If the person who asked that question is able to maybe email me directly, that's ray@auvik.com. I'd be happy to hook you up with somebody on the support team who can actually give us a little bit of insight and put together a couple of strategies on how we could make that use case work for you.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, I guess, Adrian, Mike, thank you both very, very much for your time today. And to everyone who joined us this afternoon or morning, based on where you are, we really appreciate you joining us on today's webinar, which we called Grow Your MSP Revenue with Asset Lifecycle Management, co-hosted by Warranty Master and Auvik. So once again, the webinar recording is going to be available on demand at www.auvik.com/frankly-MSP in a few hours. And then go ahead and join us after the call on the Frankly MSP community on LinkedIn. So that's a place that we've set up for conversations and resources that are meant to help MSPs like yourselves run an IT business with productivity, efficiency, and profitability. So we'll be there if you have any questions, and we're going to put a link in the panel.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you guys for putting everything together and helping make this happen. And I want to thank you, Ray, and I also want to thank Adrian for that presentation. And I want to thank everyone that joined. So have a great day, everyone.